It's the Exit 52 podcast presented by Jimmy Seafood, back here recording on a Tuesday night. I think we're actually recording simultaneous podcasts right now, or at least we're close to, as the jumbo set was getting recorded, and we are also recording here on Tuesday night to be released over the next couple days. It's Taylor, it's Banks, it's Arditti. Fellas, how are we doing?
I'll let Brian take it.
I was just letting Eric go first just because this is this time of year. This is spring training. It's just like Twitter's a buzz for spring training games every day now. I'm looking up, it's 3:30 p.m. and people are talking about bloop singles and like just shit that is just so inconsequential, but they're getting fired up about it, and I love to see it. So I figured that you would be the one to jump in here and really kind of get everybody going. But I guess I could talk about the Dominican. I had a great time down there the past few days. Little company retreat vacation of sorts, all inclusive, dirty bananas, daiquiris, all the above. I got my money's worth. You better believe it.
Yes.
You better believe it.
The best. No, spring training, I've been into it a little bit. I watched on Saturday. I watched Ohtani hit a home run in his third at bat, I think, today for the Dodgers. So that was fun. Thursday will be fun with Paul Skeens on the mound versus what I would assume Jackson Holiday gets to start for the Orioles. So it's like the 1-in-3 prospect in baseball. So that'll be fun. But no, I've kind of taken it easy. Mr. Dunn, Mr. Libby Dunn.
We're going to steal their soul and steal their girl.
Yeah, we could.
we could. Could happen.
Could. But no, spring training's been good so far. There's no major injuries outside of the first day bombshells, and that's kind of just what you hope for. So.
Yeah, it was almost like a news dump when they dumped all the injuries, and now, knock on wood, they've stayed pretty healthy.
It's like the reverse post NHL hockey playoff first day out. It's kind of the reverse of that. Like, it's maybe that goes with baseball. Here are the off season casualties from when these guys really ramped up their activity, sitting on the couch and golfing as opposed to playing baseball.
Pretty much. That's exactly what it is.
We're going to go through a couple of things here. We did our infield preview a couple of weeks ago. We're going to talk about the outfielders today, get into a couple Ravens news and notes, and some Nick Cantor medley, Maryland person of the week, and get on out of here on a Tuesday. Fellas, we talked infield, as I said a couple weeks ago. Let's talk outfielders. Now we've got a little spring training to go off of. I'll just go through the outfielders on the 40-man, and then, Eric, I want you to kind of lead us down the road here. Colton Cowser, Austin Hayes, Sam Hilliard, one of everyone's favorite players, Heston Kjerstad, Ryan McKenna, Cedric Mullins, Anthony Santander, and Kyle Stowers. A lot of talent in that group. Once again, a similar situation where you have your kind of veterans sitting up at the top with these younger guys coming on in behind them, and we've seen some of these guys play at the major league level. How do you feel like this starts to shake out in terms of the guys that are on the opening day roster, Eric?
It's the whole. We know the three. It's Mullins. It's Hayes. It's Santander. Two of those threes have also. We talked about Hayes before, but Santander come out today and was talking about an extension and being like, "I want to be here." Blah blah blah. So that's 2 out of 3 guys. I would love to give him an extension as well. Maybe a Mark Trumbo like extension that they gave him a couple years ago. Those 3 are penciled in. I mean, you could Sharpie those guys in. Barring injury, those are going to be your opening day outfielders. And then the other, it comes down to, like you said, Sam Hilliard, sure. Ryan McKenna, Kjerstad, and Colton Cowser. Out of those guys, Colton Cowser is probably the MVP of the spring training for the Orioles so far. He's been awesome. He had the walk-off home run on Saturday, which looked like a bloop, just kind of like a fly out to left center field, and it just kept going. That Sarasota wind took it. I think he has 3 walk, or he's 2 or 3 walk. I don't know. His at-bats have been very good. He looks awesome. He looks comfortable. And again, a tiny sample size. But he looks like he looks like what we thought we would get last year. Obviously, he started off not the greatest with the Orioles last year and then got sent down, hit the big home run in the AAA championship game. But Cowser seems like the guy who's kind of taken that 4th outfielder spot by the horns right now. And he's looking for a starting spot. You know, maybe you put Santander at DH and you get Cowser, Mullins, and Hayes in there. That's a very athletic, fun outfield. But Kjerstad, I think he has 1 hit maybe. I know he has a couple strikeouts, struggling. And again, only 10 at-bats. It's not a big sample size, so no one we're not sounding any alarms, but if right now through 5 games or whatever with the split game, Cowser's playing by far the best out of any of the outfielders and probably any of the Orioles, all out there. Again, McKenna, who knows if he is on this team, if Cowser and Kjerstad can, one of them is going to find their way on the team, maybe both of them. There were the rumors, not the rumors, but there were the reports that Mateo was going to get some run in center field, which that could be an interesting little wrinkle there. And that kind of saves a roster spot because you can add another guy because he can kind of do a little bit of everything. So can get Kjerstad, who is 25 plus home run power, and Cowser both on the roster on opening day on the 28th. But yeah, to me, those are the stories. Again, it's Cowser's made the team as of right now. You would think just because of how good he's played. Kjerstad has some work to be done, but I wouldn't be shocked if we see both those guys make it. Ryan McKenna, if his time is up here, thanks for everything, bud. We'll never forget your time here, and we'll go from there. He just seems like a kind of a guy who doesn't really have a role on this team. They have speed off the bench. Defensive outfielder, sure. We saw it in the second game last year when he dropped that can of corn. But I think the story right now is Cowser, just how well he's playing. And again, I think that's your outfield right there, heading into opening day, hopefully.
Thanks.
This feels like the 1,000th time that I've gotten into this narrative, but it's just an embarrassment of riches. Like the fact that you have to try to find at bats for guys like Kjerstad and Cowser, which I mean, you have to find at bats for them. Like they are that good. They have that type of ceiling. You have to see what they're capable of. And it's also another reminder that it's freaking silly that each of them are still here and we got Corbin Burns. Yeah, it's also interesting to me that the mentality is shifting my way that I'm thinking about these players, because 2 months ago, I'm thinking about, okay, like Hayes, Mullins, Santander, they're all veterans, but we need to look at the big picture of who we are as an organization and the way that we want to spend, the way we want to be lean. These veteran players through arbitration and, the years that they have experience, like they're going to become expendable. We're going to have to trade them. And that's where Kjerstad and Cowser gets to slide up and get those at-bats. But now the idea that we could extend any of those three guys, all of those three, like it's all on the table. So I'm trying to figure out where and how we do get Cowser and Kjerstad the necessary at-bats to kind of keep them invigorated. I mean, the first base and DH positions are there to mix and match Santander and some of the pieces and try to rotate them around. And you got to deal with splits with a couple lefties in the mix there. But I don't know. It's a great problem to have. It's fascinating. I wouldn't be shocked if any of those three veterans are traded. If I had to pick my way, I would try to figure out a way to drop one of them and like, thank you for your service, each of them. They've all been great Orioles, but I think leaning into that future and the higher ceiling that some of those other guys bring to the table is probably the direction I'd go.
Yeah, it's super interesting. I think you brought it up, Eric, at the top. Santander's comments about wanting to be extended. I think anytime you have guys saying that publicly, that is a great sign should be a great sign to a fan base that what they have going on culture-wise is really, really strong. And for two veterans who have guys behind them that could theoretically have them ousted to publicly not plead, but be like, we want to stay, is a nice sign that those guys, would go out and say that and not say it in a frustrating way of like, oh, miss my spot, up for grabs here, but I'd love to stay. Banks, you said it right. It's an interesting embarrassment of riches. You have two guys in Cowser and Kjerstad that are not only obviously top prospects, but are like two former top 5 picks. Yeah. Like these are guys that
if we just had one of these guys in a lot of years, we'd be like, I can't wait to see that guy play baseball. And we can't figure out how to get them to play baseball.
To play baseball. Correct. Kjerstad is 25. So and both these guys are like quickly rising college bats. So you want to get them at bats to see how it's going to go. It's a fascinating roster dilemma for them. And I think you're right, Banks. I think you flip around with the DH and you rotate guys through and you try to get these guys all at bats, but there is going to be an odd man out in terms of who's consistently playing among those 5 guys. And the great thing about the Cowser's, sort of surge in spring training is he has been really the top Orioles prospect that, I guess some Grayson stuff, that is like hit the wall. Like he came up and hit the wall in the picks. Like there was that 3 weeks where it's like, oh, he's kind of getting on base and they kind of win when he plays, but he didn't. I mean, I remember being at the Yankee series and he looked totally outmatched at that point. And that's going to happen. Like it happened. It happens to everyone for small periods, but he actually is the one that had to get sent back down. So to see him kind of come back and start off fast is very, very nice. I think they're going to have to trade somebody at some point during the season. And the question is, do they love the idea of having these 3 veteran guys with the potential to win now? And do they deal one of the 2 top prospects, for another piece, a bullpen piece or a starting pitching piece? You would think a starting pitching piece. Or do they say, hey, the future is now. We want these guys that we have a lot of control of. We've got to deal with Santander arbitration and free agency every year. We've got to deal with what we're going to do with certain guys. I don't know. I'm trying to think of what I would do. I think I would tend to keep these guys all this year and see if you can filter them through and try to win with the amount of depth they have. But it's not a bad problem to have if you go into the first 2 or 3 months of the season, you're like, God, we need a starting pitcher. Well, there's 5 guys there you could package together to go get a starting pitcher. Any of those 5 guys you could deal in some way. I don't think Cedric Mullins is getting traded, so I would say maybe 4. But like it really is, it's crazy. I mean, like Austin Hayes is standing. This guy was on the All-Star team, and he's got 2 former top 5 picks being like, "Hey, we'd like to play too." Like that is a very interesting situation. And Santander is, shows month-long stretches where he plays at an All-Star level, and obviously we've seen what Seti can do. So, sort of in the less similar vein as the infield, where you're seeing the younger guys are kind of taking over. The Orioles have done an amazing job of kind of building a veteran outfield, over the course of some desperate years, that is kind of holding back these guys that, as you said, Banks, if you had one of those guys every year, you'd be like, oh my God, we have Heston Kjerstad, as you said, 25 to 30 home run power, corner outfielder, first round pick, like he's got to play. And, we're talking like, God, a couple strikeouts early in spring training. Like, is he going to find the playing time? Normally that guy would just be penned into a starting lineup on a previous Orioles team. So I'm fascinated to see what they do.
Another thing that we didn't really talk about, and this kind of leaks back into the infield, Banks, you talked about the DH first base spot. Ryan O'Hearn, lefty bat. Kjerstad has played some first. They had him there, I know, in Norfolk. If he gets out to a hot start, O'Hearn, I think you can kind of look to package O'Hearn, maybe Ramon, someone like that, and kind of free up that spot where, again, now you have a spot for Kjerstad at DH, or he can spell Mountcastle, in a pinch, or if it's a righty, and you can, if they like his defense at first enough, you can get him in there. But yeah, they have to get creative with ways to get these guys at bats, and we've said it a billion times, but it's a great problem to have with this. Yeah. And Hyde is not complaining at all, and I'm with you guys. I don't know what they're gonna do because, again, I mean, these guys would be teams' number 1 prospects, and with the Orioles, it's like, Kjerstad may have to go down to AAA, or if Cowser can keep this up, we don't know. But I don't know. It's a great problem to have, and I think they do find a way to get both of those guys onto the team and do something. But I think, I don't know. It's
what's crazy too is last year in, I don't know what month it was. It was like, oh my God, Colton Cowser's heat was so high. Mm-hmm. Like, God, I mean, this guy is just ripping through all the levels of the minor leagues. We've got to get him up here. This is the guy that's going to be the starting outfielder in the playoffs. He's going to take it over. And they just have so many guys that his heat dissipated in a way that it's like, he's now the back up and coming forgotten man. He's a little bit of the forgotten man in this entire group of top prospects who's like, oh wait, I'm over here. Remember when this is who everybody wanted? Remember every week on the show we talk about, are they going to bring up Colton Cowser? They got to start Colton Cowser. Where is Colton Cowser? And he became a forgotten man in 6 months. It's just the nature of how the Orioles have all these guys.
And another name that we didn't even talk about, Kyle Stowers. Kyle Stowers has been. I've noticed again. Rock will tweet out. Rock and some of the banner people will be tweeting out the videos, and every at bat is lefty on lefty, and it seems like they're really, really working on him with lefty. And apparently, the at bats have been very good, and they really like what they see. I think he's hitting the ball hard. He had such a bad year last year between. He had a slow start. He got hurt. He just never came back up. He got hit in the face down in Norfolk, broke his nose. Just like a brutal, brutal season. Everything that could go wrong for him could. He's another guy who, they were like, they messed with his swing a little bit. He looks good. His swing is really, really nice. I mean, I was at the game when he hit the walk-off against Liam Hendricks 2 years ago. He's another guy who, again, he could surprise a lot of people. And yet again, it's another lefty outfield bat. So that's a guy that they could look to, again, maybe move him in a trade. He may be the guy that makes a team out of Kjerstad and Kalser. Who knows? So he's just another name that's thrown into it. So again, there's so many cooks in this kitchen right now, and everyone's making awesome stuff. We just don't know. It's like, hey, we're full. I can't eat anymore. We don't know who to go to, but
no more s'mores.
Wild.
Yeah. I mean, a couple of years ago, Stowers was potentially seen as a guy that was going to be here for a while. And I do agree. I think he ends up being the second piece of a trade at some point. That just feels like his destiny at this point. But as you said, who knows? The talent is certainly there. He's like a around 200 major league hitter at this point. So he's certainly not come up and shown it for an extended period of time. But you certainly never know.
Yeah. So I think good.
That was a double go ahead.
You're rolling.
No, the only thing I was going to say was you talk about like Ryan McKenna. You just don't see where it fits for the guy, and there's nothing against him. It's just you don't see where the roster spot is.
No.
Yeah. Now it's, of course, nobody likes to say this, but inevitably somebody will get hurt along the way. So you've got to kind of protect your interest there. So with that said, I think between three veteran outfielders that are there in place, nobody's saying you have to trade any of them. But if you were, I would think that Cedric Mullins is the safest of them, and it's the other two that you're looking at. So who are you trading in that scenario? Are you trading Hayes? Are you trading Santander?
I'd probably say Hayes. I would go Hayes, I think.
Why?
He's proven to be the most Mullins. Well, if we're taking Mullins out of it,
periods of the year where he's the only guy hitting last year,
and then there's periods of the year though where he looked lost and he's swinging at the first pitch and he's grounding into double plays in big situations. But he has a rocket arm. He plays great defense, and like you said, there are times where he's the heartbeat of the team.
It needs to be said that left field is a different left field than it used to be. It's a lot of square footage, so you got to keep that in consideration as you look at some of these other guys.
Mm-hmm. And Kalser, I think, is a good fielder. Stowers, I think, is a good fielder. Kjerstad, obviously, I don't think they really like his defense. I don't think we'll ever see him in left field. So yeah, I don't if they can get Kalser some run in left and see how he navigates that kind of wall and the massive amount of area back there, they feel comfortable. I think they may be able to pull the trigger for Hayes to be traded. And again, he's still young enough where, he can be the key piece into a team that needs it. I don't know. He's just, to me, he's kind of the guy. He's just very up and down. Santander, Taylor, you said it. When he's hot, he's 10 home runs in 10 games hot. Like, he is putting the team on his back, and he's a legitimate power bat. We've seen that a couple times in the last couple of years. Again, his defense, he's not the worst. We saw some nice catches last year, but he's no speed demon. He's not going to win the Gold Glove or anything like that. But yeah, if it's between those two guys, I think I go Hayes. And Brian, you said it, the injuries. If we're going to look at injuries, Mullins has been the guy that seems to get plagued by something at least once a year. Last year, obviously, at the groin, and I think it kind of reared its ugly head again. And I was kind of shocked that he didn't get surgery. I would have thought that after the year, it would have been like, hey, he needs to get surgery, because he did not look good after he came back from that injury. But yeah, there's a lot of guys and three spots, and it is a crowded outfield.
Yeah, and the most interesting part is, we're talking about Kjerstad and Kalser taking over for those veteran guys. Like, Kjerstad and Kalser have literally no track record of
putting together any
production.
Success.
Yeah, any success. And it's like, well, how are these guys not playing? You have three 28 or 29-year-old guys that have all played stretches at an all-star level. I mean, that is just for an Orioles franchise that has been starved for just sheer talent across the organization. This is a kind of a ridiculous conversation. Like in any other situation, like, oh my God, you have all these 20, two of them are, I think I have it in front of me. Hayes is 28. He's about to turn 29. The other two guys are both 29, about to turn 30, obviously. Like, but they're all close. They're all within they're all turn, I think, those ages, like in the middle of the season. Like in a normal situation, like, oh, it's three prime outfielders who, you know, if they put together good first half, could all be all-stars. Like, it wouldn't be insane for Anthony Santander to put together a first half of the season that put him in the all-star game. Would not be insane. Hayes has done it. Mullins has done it. Like that is what we're talking about here. Like in any other scenario, that should be signed, sealed, delivered, left, right, and center. Those are your three guys. And we're having a discussion about if Colton Cowser, who has one walk-off home run in spring training, got sent down after no production, we've got to get him at bats. We've got to get him in. But that's the pedigree that those two guys bring. And in a normal situation, they would be getting that playing time. It's very, very fascinating.
It is.
And as you said, Brandon Hyde is definitely not going to complain about it. He's got all the talent in the world. If you're Mike Elias, you're like, God, how do I manage the continued roster building with all five of these guys?
It is funny because, like you said, we're actively trying to find ways to force out a guy who was in the All-Star game last year, a guy who's had a 30-30 season within the last 3 years, and one of the best switch hitting power hitters in baseball. We're like, I don't know, these guys. I don't know if they'll cut it. Meanwhile, we watch fucking Brandon Fahey and Jeff Bjorn.
Santander's averaging 30 homers over the last 2 years.
Yeah,
like he's 33 and 28. I mean,
yeah,
it's They also drafted a center fielder in the first round last year.
Oh, so. That's right. Yeah, who they said was a major league ready glove right now. Yeah, and has top-notch speed.
And it's like we're going to call him up in September as a defensive replacement, and
Rod Dyson,
and guy off the bench. Like, not unreasonable thing that could happen this year at all.
Yeah,
at all.
So. I think we're in agreement though that opening day it will be the three veterans that take the field.
And it should be. And again, this is part of the cool part about how good the team has been was like, especially after they clinched and got the division last year. But seeing those three in the locker room kind of celebrating with Means was there too. But like those three have been through more bad baseball than a lot of guys. Again, they've been starters on this team for 4 or 5 years now. And that's a long time. And again, this was a dog water team. This was the worst team in baseball for an extended period of time. They saw the rebuild through. You know, they've seen the lows, they've seen the highs, they've done it all. So it is cool that they've stuck together and been able to do this again, while all playing at very, very high levels. It's not that GIF where it's the two big dragons and then like one kind of like dimpy looking one. Like they're all three big dragons. They're with a couple other big dragons behind them too. McKenna would be like dimpy little dragon if that's what we're getting at, but. Yeah, it's a neat thing for them to again come this far and you know they've lost they have to be the first like trio of teammates that have lost 100 games and won 100 games within X amount of time or something like that. Maybe some of the Rangers now.
And obviously those guys, you know, because the team has just gotten good. Fans are honestly like almost getting to like if you're not a hardcore fan, you're almost getting to know the Santanders and the Hayeses of the world over the last like 2 years, as opposed to the fact that this is Santander's 8th year that he's going to be up with the big league club. Like those guys are now also just entrenched in terms of this being their home. So why would they not want to sign long term now? That's the other thing. Obviously, speaks to the organization, but also it's like why would I leave now? Now it's great. But I think inevitably one or maybe even two of them will leave, but who knows? We'll see. Maybe it's the younger guys that end up being the centerpieces of trades to bring in other pieces, and those guys get to see it out. Santander's quote was to Matt Wayrich of the Baltimore Sun, "I would love that. That's something we always talk about outside of this room with my family and friends. I would love to stay here." I mean, how great is it to hear that about the Orioles? It's just great.
He's great too. I think who was it? DL. It may have been DL or Tyler Wells who said Santander is by far the funniest guy in the clubhouse. He was like, he is the lightest, like he has the lightest attitude. He's just the best. Apparently he's a very good basketball player too. He seems just like an all around awesome guy. So yeah, like why would you not want that in your clubhouse? around the young guys to teach them what it's like. And again, he's a Rule 5 pick. He had the major shoulder surgery. He's been awful. He's been great. He was a Gold Glove nominee. He's hit 30 home runs. He's hit walk-offs. He's done it all. Like that's a guy that I want my young outfielders around. And again, a guy that you
World
want
Baseball Classic heroics. We love that here.
Yeah. Oh my God. He was awesome in that. And again, it's like you can also copy and paste Cedric Mullins and Austin Hayes into that conversation. And it's the exact same thing. Like you can say that about all of them. So it's a very unique and fun group they have. It's just awesome to see.
RDT, you tweeted a video of meeting Mayo the other day to accentuate the start for Mr. Kobe Mayo in spring training. I mean, that he is going to inflame conversation about his spot on the team if this continues throughout spring training. He's going to be hard to deny. I mean, he is going to be hard to deny at a certain point.
I forget who said it, but someone was like, are we going to have to start talking? Again, we're 4 games in, 10 at bats.
Correct.
It's way too soon.
Correct.
But I knew what this person
was
was
why
saying.
we podcast. This is why we podcast, baby.
Yeah, you have to. But someone said, when are we going to have to start talking about Kobe Mayo taking a spot from Jackson Holiday? And it's like, again, it's like, it's the LeBron gif. It's the, I can't believe this is my life. Like now we're finding ways to keep the unanimous number 1 prospect in baseball down. Be like, we can keep him down a little bit longer. Like we don't have to. Mayo is, he's a freak. He's a freak. He hits the ball insane. What Jeff had a quote the other day on the radio. He said, if you leave one over the plate, the only question you're asking yourself is how far is this going to go? And I was like, that's just perfect. Like, that's a great quote. And he's gonna hit some tape measure shots. We haven't seen it yet in spring training, but he's hitting the ball super hard. He's walking. Again, I think he's a good enough third baseman to kind of stick there. Again, you got Gunnar, you got Westberg, you got Ramon, you got all these guys. Who the hell knows? But yeah, you got to give props to Mayo. He's playing very well. He's hitting the ball very hard. That's what he's going to do. He's one of the best hitters in the organization. Probably has the most power. So your guess is as good as mine. What the hell happens? I have no idea. I'm having the same trouble right now in MLB The Show, finding at bat. So I feel Brandon Hyde's pain. I know what he's going through, trying to find spots for these guys. So Brandon, I hear you. It's tough, but we'll find a way. We will.
Should be fun. Love to have seen the spring training. Any last words here on this one?
I do. It's nice that you tied in Mayo there because I've got the American League Rookie of the Year odds up, which may be like closer to opening day. We want to do like a little bit of a futures and props and something like that.
Yeah, me, Jake, and Arditti did that a little bit last year, so I'm sure what will happen. Maybe we bring the
where do you,
in here some things.
We've got 4 names on the board here that are Orioles. Who do you think they are, and what do you think their odds are at?
My buddy sent me Mayo's the other day. I don't know which book it was from, but he sent me that.
This is DraftKings for the record.
I think it was.
I mean, Holiday has to have the best odds. He's got to be on there. I would imagine he's. I don't even know where to start with this. I'm not a betting guy. Plus 500.
He is the favorite in the American League at plus 250.
Wow.
I was going to say, I got Gunnar. I parlayed.
He's not
Gunnar
even guaranteed to start.
No.
Yeah.
I had Gunnar and Corbin Carroll parlayed last year to both win. They were both plus 250, like odds on favorite in the middle of February. So yeah, I was going to say plus 250 for
So Mayo's got to be on there plus 1,000.
He is plus 5,500. Kobe Mayo.
A lot.
See, this is why no one can take anything from me.
Cowser and Kerstad are in here. Kerstad is plus 2,200 and Cowser is plus 3,500. I kind of like that Cowser one a lot. But obviously with those two, it's the same conversation we've had for 20, 30 minutes here. It's like, where are these guys going to get the at-bats? Like, they got to put up numbers to get the – but if they hit and they get off and running, they'll find the at-bats for them. So –
the Orioles have to trade more position players. They have to trade more position players. Why are you going to have some of these guys sitting around? They're just going to have to at some point.
Yeah, you do. We're going to run into a situation where there may be a legit chance the Orioles have the 1, 2, and 3 finishers in the AL Rookie of the Year. What happens with those extra draft picks you get? Do the Orioles get 3 extra draft picks if it's Jackson, Colton, and Heston? Like 1, 2, 3? I don't know. Like, that's a legit question. I think someone's gonna have to answer during the season if they're all 3 playing well. But embarrassment of riches. I don't know. Print the shirts, do something. But great problem to have.
Very great problem to have. And we'll see how it continues to flesh out over the course of spring training. I think we kind of went through the spring training storylines there so far. Just talking about the outfielders, because obviously Kowser's gotten some attention over the first 3 or 4 days here. Let's move on to some quick Ravens news and notes. Obviously, our pals Spencer and Jake did a jumbo set today. I'm sure they talked about all of the happenings at the combine with Eric DaCosta and John Harbaugh, both talking to the media. But just a couple of quick things I think we can touch on. Justin Madubuike, DaCosta saying that they are discussing an extension, and if not, I think the most interesting part of that was that they would probably use the franchise tag on him should they not come to an agreement. I think that's probably the right way to go, to keep Justin Madubuike around in a time where you're trying to win now, but hopefully they can get him extended. Banks, don't know if you have any other thoughts on that one.
No, I feel great about that. And we had a conversation with him at Jimmy Seafood about a month and change ago, and his agent was there, and talking with some people after that would know from conversations with them. Like, they're very comfortable with it. He wants to be around. I think the salary cap number being announced a little bit higher than what people were thinking gives a little more leeway for the Ravens to kind of throw that bigger extension at him. But I think they'll be patient with it, as they tend to do. If I had to guess, it'll probably go to a franchise tag that'll give them more time to chat, and they'll figure the thing out. So either way, win-win, get the guy paid. I think everybody's going to be happy to have him around for a long time. So, I mean, he's a stud. He's an absolute star. Great guy, though, too. He's really humble, put together, just says all the right things. Kind of a, I'm not gonna, I'll stop short of calling him a teddy bear, but he's a menace on the field. Just an absolute beast.
A couple of other things from DaCosta, complimented Adafeo's work ethic. I think Jake put out a tweet today saying maybe there's a leap to be had from Owe next year, that maybe he comes into his own in terms of upticking the sack production. I think that would be a very welcome sight for the Ravens.
That'd be a welcome sight, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that is pretty obvious.
Sure.
But what's funny is the entire storyline about his drafting was that he couldn't figure out a way to get sacks, but disrupted the game in other ways, and that's exactly what's happened as a pro.
Yeah.
So
it's crazy how that works.
He may be who we thought he was. We shall see. Running back, in terms of running backs, we need more than 2 running backs, says Eric DaCosta on the plan of running back. True, Justice Hill and Keaton Mitchell, the only running backs under contract next year. I does not feel like there will be a reunion with J.K. Dobbins. Maybe Gus Edwards comes in on a more reasonable number, but running back is the thing getting thrown around the rumor mill right now. Arditti's got Derrick Henry, some Saquon Barkley discussion. Any thoughts on that, fellas?
It feels like Derrick Henry's going to happen. It just does.
Mm-hmm. I can't beat Saquon at all. I couldn't. Saquon, visually, it doesn't make sense in my mind.
It also just,
I agree with that.
Are you going to go get an injury-riddled running back to replace your other injury-riddled running back? I don't know if that's what the Ravens need. Like Saquon Barkley, tweaking his ankle in week 2, and it's like, oh, like, here we go down the road again.
I think
Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. He would be a menace. He just can't.
Pound for pound, just like at this stage in their career, give me one Sunday out of each. I'm probably going Saquon Barkley, to be honest. Just. Well, then again, if it's just one Sunday, I think he's got more.
I would love.
If he's healthy.
Derrick Henry just thinking about it more and defensive
more.
line before Lamar.
I know. That's the better complementary piece.
I don't see like the Henry thing. Again, people are going to be like, "Oh, you just don't want him to go there." I don't care where Derrick Henry goes from here on out. I don't think it really makes sense for the Ravens. Again, he's 29. Like, we know about the wear and tear
and a lot of miles.
All the miles.
He's an old 29.
Oh yeah, and again, he showed it at times.
I guess you say, look, you're probably not getting it. Well, it depends on what Derrick Henry wants to do. I mean, if you're a player in that situation, you want to try to get as many, years as possible. I would think you don't want to like start signing 1-year deals,
But
maybe he wants to get on a contender and chase a ring. I mean, that's the other thing. And you say, okay, we have Henry, we have Hill, and we have Mitchell. 2 guys are cheap. We bring in 1 guy for like an elevated number like they did with Odell. And
yeah,
like,
so
we'll
1
just
year
run
with the
this thing.
Ravens, you get that big stat bump too, and it's like, oh, this guy could have 2-3 years left actually.
Yeah.
So it kind of behoove anybody to come in and run for the Ravens. And that's almost too like Gus Edwards, he's going to hit the market and everyone's going to know what's going to happen. Like I almost feel like the answers are right in front of everybody with him, where he's going to see a dip. They love Gus, love him to death. I'm sure he'll be productive, but he won't be as productive. So it's kind of like mutually best interest. Let's just keep it rolling here. Keep the bus rolling. But
among
know.
the other veterans in the free agency pool, Josh Jacobs, Austin Eckler, Tony Pollard.
Josh Jacobs,
there's always that connection rumor. But with Derek, and again, you talked about he wants to come win a Super Bowl. I know, it was the Eagles, it was the Texans, the Cowboys, and the Ravens, I think were the top 4 favorites, not in that order. But if you're Derek and you look at the Ravens and this offensive line now that is not as strong, if Zeitler doesn't come back, which it sounds like he now isn't going to, there was that whole thing kind of last week where they had a deadline to get whatever done. I forget what it is, the void years or whatever. But who knows what Ronnie Stanley's going to be? Linderbaum's obviously awesome. Morgan Moses is 55 years old. He's old. He's up there. If you're him and if you're Derek and you have a chance to go to the Cowboys or the Ravens, it's where's your best? I don't know. I mean, I think he would weigh that and be like, you look at the AFC versus the NFC, you got a much easier chance to get to the Super Bowl if you're in the NFC. Plus, on a Cowboys team with CeeDee Lamb and Dak and all that, I don't. Plus that offensive line, I don't know. I mean, it'll be interesting. I could see him hanging. I could see him coming here. That would be cool. It would be neat. I'm sure I would put in an application to work at Jimmy's for a day when they had him here, or something like that, and then quit right away. But yeah, I mean that's definitely the rumor and the buzz. But I don't know. It is going to be interesting. And Jake tweeted out yesterday that the analysis was this guy fits the Ravens and this guy fits the Ravens. It was 7 of the 10 guys he listed all fit the Ravens. So just build the whole plane out of the running backs. Why don't you just sign them all? Just bring everybody in. So that's it'll be an interesting that and the offensive line. That'll be interesting to watch how that develops this offseason.
Yeah, you spoke to it. It was one of the things that came out of John Harbaugh's press conference was the admission that there needs to be some rebuilding on the offensive line, which I don't think is shocking to anyone. Obviously, a giant part of what the Ravens or any team does is building in the trenches. The Ravens have always done a pretty good job of that, but they certainly have some retooling to do. It's amazing. You talk about Henry and his workload, 280 carries last year, which led the league.
Really? 280?
Yep. He's led the league in carries 4 of the last 5 years.
And the one
it's had 200 plus carries the last 6 years.
200 carries is nothing. I mean, Eddie used to get 400
Yeah, 280 apparently is the league leading total if I'm looking at Pro Football Reference correctly. 280 carries for 1,100 yards, 12 touchdowns. I mean, you would think there's still some in the tank, considering he did that for a Titans team that was very limited offensively.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it the last game of the season. Again, all it would take is one game versus the Steelers where he stiff arms TJ Watt into the ground and takes off for 60 or 70, and he would be a fan favorite. So I could see it happening. I think it makes sense, but part of me is also why would the Ravens? Again, he's not going to take a cheap. It's going to be.
I mean, a lot of it's going to be priced. Yeah, a lot of it will end up being priced with any of those veteran free agent running backs. But it does feel like the Ravens. I don't want to say need. That's probably the wrong analysis. But with the free agent guys out there, just having some cover of a veteran guy that's not veteran on the other side, like they've done with some of these guys over the last couple of years, like Le'Veon Bell, or it's clearly over. It's there's some guys out there where it's clearly not over.
Who was some of the other guys they got? Bell. Who did we used to always say had the juice? It was who was it?
Who had the juice?
Wasn't it the guy from the Saints? Was it a guy from the Saints who came in?
Latavius Murray?
Latavius Murray?
Yeah, I think it was Latavius. We were there's 2
carries.
Latavius
just keeps on playing.
Yeah.
Is he on the Bills this year, right? Yeah.
Murray for the Bills this year.
I don't think Pollard would be bad for the Ravens. I think he's a much better receiver than Henry. Again, I don't see Saquon happening. I think Pollard would be a fine.
Yeah, I think they're looking at a little bit.
One of the biggest fantasy disappointments of 2023, Tony Pollard.
Yeah, but he'll be cheaper. But
I think they're looking at it a little through the lens of, we don't know how the recovery is going to go, but Keaton Mitchell's going to bring the speed and the pass catching out of the backfield, and we're going to look for a complementary piece to that, which could be Henry, could be a Josh Jacobs. I don't know.
Could draft the guy,
I would love. I'm down for Gus. I'm down for just running back with Gus.
Gus is one of those guys who, like, the Buccaneers will give him like 4 years and $86 million or something like that. Because you see how many touchdowns he had last year, and then he'll play 2 years there, and they'll be like, oh, he's not playing with Lamar. Like, yes, his numbers have dipped, and then he'll be a cap casualty or something. But yeah, I think it's mutually beneficial for Gus and the Ravens to, like, hey, let's do this.
He could be a waiver wire pickup for us in November 2025. A year and a half with somebody else.
And then it's like one last ride on the bus. Let's bring him home.
God, I love the
Gus. Just make the t-shirts now.
Super Bowl's in his hometown, and he ends up playing there, and it's like, oh, it's 05.
Then he retires. Oh man, go listen to our the jumbo set for some more Ravens deep dive.
One last thing from that press conference thing is that Harbaugh did his annual lip service of Rashad Bateman's really going to pop off next year.
I did see that.
He's the Oweh of the offensive side of the ball.
He's always open. Just got to get him the ball.
Got to get him the ball. Just got to get it to him. Nick Cantor Medley, Maryland Person of the Week. Banks, I think I know where you're going.
Am I going with the Dominican or are we going with the Petties? Are we doing
you want to co-sign the Petties first, and then you can talk about the Dominican?
No, I've already said the piece on the Dominican. I don't need to tell everybody about how beautiful and sunny it is. And great flag, by the way. I don't know if
good
people
flag,
talk
very
about
good
that.
flag.
The Dominican Republic has a very good flag. I had to Taco Bell at the airport in Punta Cana. Not good. Decidedly bad. I figure, it's not Mexico, but I thought it would slap, and it did not. And it didn't have Baja Blast. That is the biggest crime of all. But anyways, I'll give you the floor, Taylor.
Well, I mean, this is an extension of a debate that has been raging in our Exit 52 group chat over the past week or so. Last week, everyone's good pal here, Mr. Banks, sent a photo of him at the beginning of a pedicure. To which me and Spencer agreed with the fact that pedicures are wonderful things that just promote body health and are just feel nice and make you feel, a little pampered, a little taken care of. Good for your feet in a variety of ways. And, in classic Arditti fashion, he is just not cultured enough to see the wrongness of his ways and has to take this, bullheaded, old school, macho thing about, how, our grandfathers went to war and we get pedicures. I mean, it's just taking it to like a little bit too far of a place. And Jake ridiculously jumped on your side, which I thought was just a joke. And we might have to talk about this as a fivesome whenever we have another 5-man pod, but I would just, I then followed up and had a lovely pedicure last night, which was a nice birthday gift from the girlfriend. Thank you so much to her for that. Because I got the signature pedicure down there in College Park at the Bella, whatever the place was called. I mean, hot stones onto the legs. I mean, it was the works. And you're just floating after. I texted, I'm floating, got immediate hearts from Banks and Spenny. They know what they're talking about. And it's just great. It's great. So I don't, yes, the first time you walk in there as a guy, you're going to feel a little weird. Maybe you're going to feel a little out of place. But then once you sit down, you're in the massage chairs or the reclining chairs, whatever they have. It is a tremendous experience. And I think it's something that should be done for your guy. I think you should go quarterly. A quarterly pedicure is just a nice, hey, I've been out there on the golf course all summer. Let me just get my feet back in order. Hey, it's wintertime and I'm just looking to, feel a little better about everything. Let me get in there, pre-summer, get in there. It's just nice. Just nice.
You saying that you went to the College Park one, I just picture like you walking in like a group of like 18-year-old sorority girls, like sitting in chairs, getting their feet done. And you're like, let's do it.
I'm like, yeah, hey ladies, like this is what we do. This is what we do.
How about that Chem 101 class, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. How was Com 107? How was your speech? Like, it's fine.
Yeah,
so I don't know. I don't know, Banks, if you want to expand it all on your thoughts, but I think we're pretty in lockstep here. And we've been promoting other people now as well.
Very much in lockstep. I will say I did do the Manny as well. Not a fan.
I did a Manny yesterday as well.
I appreciate you trying, do your thing, but
yeah,
Manny's not for me. The filing of the fingernails. It sends a shiver up my spine. It's not for me, but like, more power to you if that's your thing. I keep beautiful hands as it is anyways. Yeah, I do well with that. So, but the feet, I mean, it's special. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm against all things feet. If it's not like pedicures or anything, it's not just pedicures. It's everything.
Grow up. Just grow up.
No. I think feet are gross. They're disgusting. They're terrible.
Cut yours off then. This is what
they're
we said.
essential.
Get rid of yours then.
I legitimately may. Shoes to the beach. Never wear sandals. No flip.
You wear shoes on the beach?
100%. Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Shoeby. Absolutely. I'm not wearing sandals. Sandals are. I don't. That's another conversation for another day.
Oh my gosh.
But again, great. Men used to go to war. Just saying.
So
just saying.
You're never wearing flip-flop sandals, slip-on. You're not wearing anything of any kind. You always have shoes and socks on.
Always have socks on.
Yes.
You're
unless
living
I'm
in the shower or sleeping.
Let yourself go. Let it go. Let it all hang out a little bit. The feet. Let them breathe. Your feet need to breathe. They need the air. They need to feel it.
No. They're fine. They're feet. They're shoes for some reason.
Our men also used to get gangrene.
Yeah.
That's how I go. That's how I go.
It's great.
Gotta take care of your feet, boys.
You have to.
I do. I take care of my feet. I don't
take care of your feet 2024. Take care of your feet 2024. And look, if you get like the lowest one, it's like $25-$30. It's nothing. It's like nothing crazy. Just go in there, get it done.
Get in, get out in a half hour or so.
Yeah, it's nice.
You just fuck around your phone. You're just gonna be doing that anyways on the couch.
Anyway, exactly.
I hate people touching my feet. I hate other people's feet being out. It's not.
And then I don't want to get delve it. Like if you got things like calluses or anything like they work that stuff out. The toenail situation, like it gets done for you. It just like it gets work. They give you the tools you need, and they execute it perfectly if you go to a good place. So
you will never see my feet. That is my promise to you. You will never ever see my feet.
What a declaration on this episode of the X52 podcast. You will never see it. So that's a cosign. Yeah. That's a cosign Nick Cannon Madley person of the week. The idea of the pedicure. Go and do it. Also good to, it's a good couples thing as well. Like you both go. You sit there
with the lady. Yeah. It was a pre-Dominican trip. It was partially a Valentine's Day gift. Like, hey, I'm going to buy this for us. We're going to go together. It's going to be a bonding experience.
That's what we did as well.
And get the feet right. We're going to get them right for the vacation.
You get put in a good mood. Good conversation.
I understand getting them. It's not for me. I get it. I'm just not for me. Not a cup of tea.
I will say this is a little bit of a departure from the line you were taking in the group.
This is a back pedal.
This is a bit of a back pedal. It's a bit.
No, I'm saying like I'm very anti-feet, but again, I
know you said all that, but you also are making a little like taking man card type of discussion, and you're backpedaling.
No, I didn't. Banks brought up the man card.
Jake also
for you not wanting to get a pedicure.
Yeah, I don't think my man card is taken because I don't want to get a pedicure.
I'm saying maybe it should be.
What would you guys say was the peak of the man card being a societal phrase? Was that
in actual or in satirical fashion?
I guess it's probably a little bit of both. It is. It feels like that was just a very popular thing to say for like a year or so. Like maybe like
the Joe Buck.
The Joe Buck. Oh yeah.
Well, that's when the satirical piece for sure which is a
Wasn't
callback
there a
to
Bud Light commercial or something?
We have
Beer
Real Men
commercial?
of Genius. You have Real Men of
yeah.
Genius.
I mean, it blends with the and twins, like that era of just beer commercial, and
Yeah.
yeah.
The best.
That's so
Sacramento
boy would
Men.
that not,
song-
boy would that
that
not
song
fly right now.
bangs.
I just imagine you guys sitting getting your pedicures and that commercial comes on and you're like, hell yeah, brother. And the people are like, these frauds, these clowns. They've never had a cold, they've never seen a Blue Mountain in their life.
Here's the football. I
Here's
love
the
it.
football. God, what an era. What an era.
Yeah, that pedicures is not in that commercial, I'll tell you that much.
RDT, do you have one?
I'm just gonna go Jay Billis really getting his really like sticking his foot in the ground. Like, good for you, Jay. Get your likes, get your clicks, get whatever you want, your views. What an insane declaration to make. But hey, you got a crazy take. Go out and get it. I'm proud of Jay for kind of, he's never been that like hot take kind of guy, and this kind of like came out of nowhere. Where like I thought it was like ball sack sports the first 5 times I saw it. I was like, no,
guys are starting to get lost in the sauce here a little bit.
This is a very interesting debate, the court storm debate. It's very interesting because, like, this is the defining moment of so many like big regular season games is the court storm. And it, I saw a little clip of your guys, Titus and Brandon Walker, talking about it, RDT. Like, it is such a fun part of college basketball, the ability for the students to come on the floor and celebrate with their fellow students who have won the game. And yet there are obviously the clear logistical challenges of like 500 to 1,000 people streaming onto a court. I mean, it was like a dead sprint on the baseline for the Wake Forest kids. And there was obviously Wake Forest screwed some things up there for sure. But and yes, moments would still be great if there weren't the court storms, but it is such a moment that, like, if you're a school that is trying to make a name for itself, it's like you got your court storm and you're just like, you take that next level up where, you know, the court gets stormed on you. And yeah, the Caitlin Clark thing happened, and that was a very bizarre situation where it felt like the court was clear. It was like one person running.
It was just them two like running into each other, like they both like bumped.
The Flipkowski thing is like the more likely scenario where the kid just doesn't get off the court and there's all these people and they don't hold it back quickly enough. Why he was kind of, you know, I'm not defending the kid getting hurt, but like why he was moseying off the court as he was with, I just don't know why anyone would react that way to people streaming on the court, but you don't want to see anybody get hurt. But it's a fascinating one because it feels like something that you're going to have a lot of the, you know, college basketball kind of writers and people be like, hey, this like has to go. Like, how could this not go? You're threatening the athletes. And I think if you asked any athlete in college basketball, at least most of them, they say, I would love to have the court stormed with me playing at home. Like, it's an amazing moment. You know, like Gravis getting carried and like, there's just like, I don't know. It's a tough one. Because, I mean,
arrested everybody on Route 1.
Yeah, I mean, it is. And that's the thing. Like, at every sporting event, there is just the social contract that's signed that the crowd is not going to overwhelm the security at any time, all the time. That could literally happen. I mean, they could just rush the court at any time, but it obviously doesn't happen. I don't know.
What if they did? What if the new thing was like a flash mob stored car? Like,
like the under 8 of this first half, people just start running onto the floor. 7
minutes and 37 seconds into the second half, everyone is just going to storm the court.
Yeah.
What would they do?
This is a weird one because like it's a Duke kid, and then it's like, oh my god, he sprained his ankle, and then now it just feels like he like went knee to knee and bruised his knee, which is tough. Like, he's their best player. You don't want to see the kid get hurt.
Ankle, knee, no imaging,
weird
a little
story.
Score.
Wake's apology is also kind of empty too. They're like, oh, you know, we'll work with whatever. It's like, you know, you guys did not hold back the situation as well as you could have.
Brandon had a good point about it where he was like, Wake Forest, again, I think he was like, they may be the smallest D1 school like in like out there.
They're small.
Like,
it's a small school.
He's like, this is massive for them and the students and the community. Like, this is a big event. Like, you know, we kind of lose it with Maryland and Duke not playing anymore. But again, he was like, this is still a big thing for the community down there. And like, for them to do this and win, and, you know, again, like you said, people are never going to forget that. And now it's like tainted, being like, what do we do? How do we get these damn kids off and have them all arrested and all that? So crazy. But good for Jay Billis. Get your likes, buddy. Get your Duke lawyer on and
I think Jay also didn't think probably he was going to get that much backlash. I think he felt like the tide was pushing in that direction. Like, okay, this is the thing that ends court storming. I'm going to like stake my claim here. I'm going to kind of have the elevated take, and it just flipped. It's kind of flipped the other way the last couple of days because it's Duke. It's just Duke. It's Duke. If this had happened to Caitlin Clark and someone had broken her ankle, this would be a firestorm and everyone would agree. But like, it's a Duke player. It's just, I don't know. You have so many narratives involved. But
yeah, I mean, if this is NC State and their best player gets hurt, no one is blinking. No one is like,
probably not.
It's not talked about at all. But again, it was always going to be Duke. It had to be Duke. It can never be any other school that this happens to. And Shire's press conference was incredible.
Amazing tweet from our good pal Marty Suma.
Oh, so good.
The Duke kid and the picture of Wilkowski coming off the court. Very, very funny.
Very good. Shout out Marty.
Shout out to Marty. Love Marty. I think that's it for the X52 podcast. Want to make sure we shout out. You got something, Banks?
I was just going to throw either an honorable mention or I guess I could have made this my own. But
no, hit it.
Just if we're hitting people for just fiery takes, I think we got to talk maybe a minute about Taylor Gooch. Firing off of just an insane take that if Rory were to win the Masters, it would have an asterisk on it. Really just because he's not in the field. As our podcast has been recording here, it's just hilarious. By the time you listen to it, it's going to be old news for sure. But somebody went to Wikipedia and put an asterisk on all 6 of Taylor Gooch's professional wins because Rory McIlroy was not in the field.
That's very good.
And it says at the bottom, Rory McIlroy, not in the field. He won the RSM Classic, which is renowned as one of the all-time joke stops on tour. No offense to Sea Island down there in Georgia, but he won a web.com tour event and he was won 3 times on Live. So this is who we're talking about here.
The Gooch man.
It spells Taylor in just a
between him. I don't even know that we really laughed at the idea that his one of those events that he won there, he compared to. I've never been in a Ryder Cup or a President's Cup event, but I can't imagine it'd be all that much different from this. Just like I don't know that he got panned enough for that. Yeah,
this guy's having a tough run. He's having a tough run. McIlroy also will, the next time he gets in front of a microphone, will definitely just eviscerate him in a very measured way. So that will be cool. Because Rory
hasn't won that Masters though. Like
he has not, but he will.
It's a sore subject for him.
Rory is very good at the cutting remark at this point. He has become very good at it, and he will, I'm sure, have no issues just taking Taylor Gooch down a couple pegs. Freaking Taylor Gooch. Cannot believe that's how he spells Taylor.
That comment may have come out at the same time he was out on the course during the match last night, where if somebody had gotten that to him, we could have gotten a live reaction to it from him.
Yeah. Watched a little bit of the match. It's fine.
Yeah.
Match is fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
That's golf.
The Tailgoat, opening day, Jimmy Seafood. Go buy your tickets. Tickets still available. Arditti, run down the guest list.
All right, so far it's Paulie D, Nick Markakis, Jake Louque, Taylor Smyth, Brian Black, Spenny Schultz, me, Brady Anderson. It's like a who's who. It's incredible. But yeah, they did add Brady last week. Again, we talked with Mike, Jake, and I talked with Mike last week about the event. There is some tickets still available. The menu is incredible. I think at one point I floated out the idea of eating 21 crab cake egg rolls for Nick Markakis. Don't think that's going to happen. That would be an awful idea. But yeah, the beer list is great. The food list is going to be awesome. The guests just keep getting added. So I can't wait. March 28th is going to be so much fun. And it's a month from Wednesday of this week. So it's creeping up on, I keep wanting to be like, oh yeah, it's in like 2 months. And it's like, no, it's literally like 5 weeks, 4 weeks away. So it's coming up very quick. So tailgoat.com for tickets. Again, You can get the bus pass from Jimmy's to the tailgate. You can get the game ticket if you want. You can get just the tailgate ticket. So we'll be there. I think we're going to interview Nick and Brady, which I've got. I know Brian has, but I've got a laundry list of questions for Brady. This is a guy who I could sit with him for hours and just chat. So it's going to be a good time. I highly recommend coming and coming to see the boys at the tailgate.
Yeah, that will be a special event. I think the buzz is going to be enormous on opening day, and so why not go to the tailgate? Never disappoints. If you have been to one, you know exactly what the deal is. If you haven't, and you're more of an Orioles person than a Ravens person, make this your first. It should be an excellent event, and we're very honored to be able to be out there and help promote it and get the pod going. So hopefully people come out and say hello to the fellas. Guys, always great to chat. Like we said, Jumbo set just recorded as well. So a couple pods hitting your ears over the next few days. Make sure to follow us on social media at X52 Podcast on all your social media platforms. You can follow Eric at EDITTI22. You can follow Banks at Barstool Banks, me at Taylor Smyth 10, Jake at Jake Louque, LOUQUE, and Spencer Ravens 4 Dummies, the number 4 between Ravens and Dummies. Make sure to go subscribe, review the pod. 5 stars on all those platforms helps out the pod immensely. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. Some fantastic content coming throughout Orioles season. Cannot wait to have the 5-man crew up and running, hitting Orioles week in and week out as we roll through the year. Series recaps, instant analysis on the bigger ones as we roll towards the playoffs, all those types of things. So very excited for that. And then, we'll roll into the summer. People will be talking Ravens before you know it. Draft also coming up very, very soon, which I'm sure we'll have some plans for coming up here in the next month or so. So for Banks, for Arditti, I'm Taylor. Enjoyed the podcast. We'll see you next time on the Exit 52 podcast presented by Jimmy's Seafood.